Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for joining this webinar. We will get started in just a few minutes. Hey, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We will start in just another minute, and we'll give the opportunity to a few more folks to join. So while we wait, please feel free to use the chat to send your questions. I'll be happy to answer them as we go through this webinar. We'll just start in a minute. Thank you for your time. Awesome. I guess we can get started. Hey, folks. Thank you for joining. My name is Vignesh. I am a product manager with BrowserStack. A little bit about myself before we get started. I've been with BrowserStack for nearly 5 years now as a product manager. Had the chance to build a lot of what you're going to see today. In my past, before I worked with BrowserStack, I used to be a DevOps engineer. So I have a lot of familiarity setting up CI pipelines, ensuring that software is shipped on time, working with quality professionals and engineers alike. Really excited for this series that we're doing, where we're talking about all of the new great things in the new automation dashboard experience that we've shipped. If you've not been joining the two webinars we did before this, we've been doing a lot of breakdowns as to what's been shipped, what's new, and how you can get a lot more value out of it. Today, we're going to specifically talk about some of the workflows that you can build into your daily routine, the way that you build and ship software with the new dashboard. But in case you're interested in learning about what's been demoed so far in the previous two sessions, we can share that as well. Yeah, as far as today's webinar goes, like I said, we're going to be talking about all of the different workflows that you can achieve. Feel free to keep asking questions in the chat. If possible, we'll try and ask them throughout the webinar. However, at the end as well, we will reserve some time to do a quick Q&A session. So I'd love to make this interactive and actually do a bit of show and tell. So with that, let's get started. So for those of you who aren't aware or haven't attended the session so far yet, we have launched a new automation dashboard experience. This is a significant step up from the previous dashboard that we have in many, many ways. I'll do a quick a couple of minutes walkthrough on what the new dashboard is, what it enables. But as I mentioned, we've been doing a few series. So today's webinar will be specifically focused on the webhooks, the workflows that you can achieve with the new dashboard. Okay, so firstly, why did we even build a new dashboard? It was feedback from our customers and also feedback internally. We wanted to ensure that we weren't spending as an organization more than a few hours a day reviewing test results. We have a 7,000 plus test regression suite. And if you spend 2 hours a day reviewing those results, that's gonna cause delays in production deployment. As you know, BrowserStack, we are a cloud infrastructure company. Everything is mission critical. We've got to ensure that we can trust our test results. We're confident in them. So we realized that we needed internally and also for our customers to reduce the time spent on test result analysis, right? We wanted to accelerate how quickly you could analyze failures and provide sort of a lot of analytics, a lot of depth into how we can improve our automation stability. And it wasn't just our own QA team, many teams. When we spoke to our customers as part of research, people were missing bugs. It was getting into production. Triage was difficult of a bug. Debugging was just slow, right? Like your artifacts are all over the place, right? Something in CI, something in your test framework. And overall, yeah, it just leads to a loss of trust in automation tests. And ultimately, then you end up testing manually and you lose a sense of automation quality. And I know everyone's been trying to solve this over time, right? Everyone comes up with their own solutions, but ultimately it's always fragmented. You have different tools for different things. Work like just maintaining a good workflow of running a build with your automation tests to analyzing it to then shipping that software has always just been challenging. And that's the crux of what we're going to talk about today, right? We want to help show you how you can leverage the new dashboard to do everything from test reporting, debugging, analytics, all the way to the way that you work every day with this dashboard. So without further ado, what I'll do is I'll quickly show you how you can start leveraging the new dashboard for your daily tasks as you analyze your builds, right? So quickly, a few concepts that I can show you. Once you reach the new dashboard, you can find your builds in the build runs page. Now, once you go into a build, you'll be greeted with a very, improved experience with a lot of statistics, right? There are so many entities in in the new dashboard that we can now offer, right? With quick ways to slice and dice your builds. You can see what your flakiness is, if there are any new failures that need your attention. We've got new widgets that actually help you understand if errors, a single error is causing multiple tests to fail, and just so much more, right? So now I've come in, I've debugged a build, I've found that a test has failed. Now what, right? Typically, there are a couple of things that folks do. One, you want to collaborate, right? And that collaboration could be with your team members. It might need tracking as well. So from a workflows perspective, the new dashboard offers a couple of features that allow you to collaborate better with your peers. The first one, it's a very quick one that I'd like to show you, is the comments feature. So on every single test, on every single build, you could even comment on, the flakiness percentage of a build if you'd like to. You can add a comment and tag your coworker and say, hey, can you please look into this? And we will maintain the complete history of this comment so you can come back, check out how it's been performing over multiple builds. And all in all, right, this is just another way to start collaborating directly on the report, right? It leaves a sort of proof of work that people have collaborated, people have checked into it, and it's very easy for anyone to see because you can look at the older tests and see the older comments as to what's been happening, right? Basically, knowledge is no longer tribal when you can comment on a single platform like this. The next sort of thing that folks want to do is they also want to make a log of this, right? Which is in terms of reporting the bug itself. So the new dashboard, we still offer you the ability to report bugs directly to tools of your choice. In this case, let's say I'm going to pick Jira. I can report a bug directly from this dashboard into my Jira. And the great thing is, we'll add all of the metadata. But beyond that, the great feature is that the status of a test is tagged. And if you've attached a ticket to this test, until that ticket in Jira or whatever tool you're using is closed, it will remain linked. And I can show you what this looks and feels like. So, we offer the full experience. You can choose the issue type, you can choose, um, you know, who you want to assign it to. It's almost like creating a Jira ticket directly within Jira, but only directly from test observability. So let's say that I can just use something like, and once I hit create, you can see that this issue was created successfully, and I can now see that an issue is tagged to this test. And this will maintain the right status, right? And in a single click, I can go to Jira or any other project management tool that you may be using that we support, and you'll be able to see a quick glance of what happened in this test, right? With a link to the test so you can check it out. We also attach the stack trace for quick visibility. In the case that you already have a Jira ticket and you want to just link this to an existing ticket, then you can do that too. In that case, we will add it as a comment. Now, let me go ahead and just update this. I'll update the status. Now, what's going to happen, and I can show you this when I run my next build, is the next time I run this build, uh, the new dashboard will automatically check for the status of this Jira ticket and it'll update. So if you see a failure, you no longer have to scramble to understand or remember if that failure was something that you already saw. You'll actually still see the Jira ticket linked and the current status as well for reporting purposes. So this is a uh, quick couple of features that you can start using on the new dashboard to start collaborating with your peers and to just maintain, good hygiene with the way that you manage your failed tests. Another feature that I like to talk about is CI reruns. So now that you've analyzed the test, you know, maybe you find out that it's just a one-off, right? You think that something happened, your environment wasn't ready, or maybe it's a small issue, you fixed it, you've pushed the code, and now you're thinking, wait, I have to run the entire build again and, go through that entire arduous process. Or if you just run those few tests again, now you have two reports, right? You have one report with like maybe 98 tests passing and then another report with two tests passing. How do I get these together? Plus, not to mention like all of the different steps that you do along the way. Well, like the new dashboard, what we offer is the ability to rerun a test from your CI directly from the new dashboard. So what you'll see here is that the new dashboard has detected automatically which CI job that my build came from. So, in a single click, I can go ahead and actually jump to that job directly and investigate if needed. But where it gets really powerful is the ability to actually rerun this, right? So let's say that, and I've already done this, but I can illustrate this again. Let's say that I want to rerun just this failed test here. I can do that because I've got an integration with Jenkins, right? And it's a very, very straightforward integration. All you have to do is head to integrations, which you'll find at the bottom left. Click on configure next to Jenkins. You can install the BrowserStack plugin on Jenkins and just add your API token, which you'll get from Jenkins, right? And it just works. There's no other extra steps. You don't have to go modify your Jenkins jobs. More or less the same setup applies to the other CI/CD tool that we support, which is Azure Pipelines. But we're shipping more support for more tools. So if you have a tool that you use and we don't support yet, please do let us know in the chat, and we'll be happy to build that. And we can give you visibility on when that particular tool might be supported, right? So let me head back to my build, which I was showing you. And as I can see, there's only these two tests which have failed. Everything else is passed, right? Now, let me go ahead and click the rerun button. I've already set up my Jenkins. I can choose whether I want to run just this one test, all the failed tests, or the current build, right? So let me go ahead and do this just to demonstrate this. I'll show you, I'll switch to my IDE and I'll fix this test, right? Just to show you how it works. So if I switch to my IDE here, right? The test that failed was this number comparison test I've got. It's a test I'm forcing to fail. So this is expecting the constant number to be greater than 30. So I'm just gonna plug in a value, say 40 right now. I've saved it. And let me go ahead and head back to my new dashboard. So now I'm gonna read on just a single test, right? And it's gonna be the Chrome 133 on Windows 11. So let's go ahead and rerun the current test. And now when I head over, it says rerun triggered. When I head over to my CI, I can see that it's actually triggered this on its own, right? And sort of works like magic. The really cool thing is it doesn't even have to be like a Jenkins instance or an Azure DevOps instance that's publicly hosted. If you can see this is actually hosted on my local host. This is running on my laptop. Test observability is still able to work with this, right? So we've built it in a way that it's just able to handle your different Jenkins instances. And as you can see, I have all of these different tests in my playwright script, which you saw. I've got over 10 tests, but we're able to get the CI to just run that single test. And as I mentioned, no code changes required. You just install a single plugin, passes your API token, and we're good. And now this test is successfully passed. And now when I go back, if you recall, this is the test that was failing. I'm just gonna refresh here. And this test, which was earlier failing, has now passed. And what you can actually see is that it, the builds have been merged. While the original build came from Jenkins number 10, I did a couple of reruns after that, and I can see all of the different runs, and I can see that now the passing version of this test has now been merged into this report. And now my build is green, basically. So basically now we've got the ability to sort of almost orchestrate your test runs for you and create a very, very handy unified report. Now you don't need to go bother your DevOps team or whoever administers your Jenkins tool. Once this is set up, you can push your code or just rerun your tests directly. All right, what I'll do is I will look at a couple of the questions here. Will it support Azure DevOps to show Jira to raise bugs? Currently, we don't support Azure DevOps yet, but it is on our roadmap. And I see that, unfortunately, I'm not able to see your name here, but if you can share your email address and sort of drop a message, I'll share my email address in the chat. You can, we'll let you know once it's supported, right? Can we get the video demo for this session? And the previous sessions, yes, we can share those with you. The Jira ticket right now, we'll get the update on the next build run. So I can show you how that looks on the next run. So let me go ahead and rerun this build for you just to demonstrate. But before that, um, I'd like to show you the next set of features that we've built into this dashboard. So, couple of things, right? Now that you've run your builds, you'd want that talking back to your CI/CD. So the way that this works is very, very straightforward. You're gonna run your build, and in your CI, it's gonna look at the final result. Now, in this case, it's just a single pass or fail. But what we actually want is the ability to give you more than that. Builds are really not determined by a single pass or fail. We want to help you actually we want to help you actually use more than that. There are so many signals in the new dashboard that you can leverage, like flakiness or specific tests, right, that you want to look at. So what I'm gonna share right now is a new feature that we've got called the quality gate. The quality gate is a set of rules that can run at the end of every single build that'll help you give uh, that'll help you give basically a different status to your build, which is beyond just did the test pass or fail. You can use this to create quality standards, right? And basically define what you consider is a build passing or not. You can also use it to automate the build verification process, right? I'll give you an example. Let's say that you build an e-commerce app and maybe you have 300, 400 test cases that all run in your regression. Now, 20 of those might not really be important tests. They're flaky tests. So they're just tests that do not work well because there's a lot of development happening and you want to silence those tests. But every time your CI build runs, those 20 tests always fail and cause some issues. Or maybe you've just got a lot of P3, P4 test cases that you don't want creating noise. You want to ensure that your P naught or P1 test cases are all passing. And that's what determines if a build is passing or not, right? Maybe, for example, you're good as long as your sign up, sign in, checkout, add to cart, that functionality, the core happy user path works. You can set up quality profiles that help you actually define that standard. So for example, you can customize it with all of these different rules. We have 11 or 12 rules in the new dashboard that you can use to define the new concept of what a build is good to go or not. For example, you can ensure that there are no tests which are marked as flaky. You can also even say that I don't want any new unique errors creeping in. And what this means is I'm okay if there's a failure or two, but I don't want any unseen failure. I want to ensure that there's no error regression happening, right? What's even more handy is the ability to customize every single one of these rules down to the test level. This is not just at a build level or a project level. You can choose exactly what these quality profiles target, but you can customize every single rule down to the test level. So let's say you want any test within this setup to apply to just a single rule. You might want to say all tests within a particular folder should pass. You can set up a rule like that. Or if you want to say all tests that have a particular test tag associated with them, then you can do that too. Basically, the power is in your hand to choose what you define as a build which is good to go or not. And it's a very intuitive builder. It's just like a logical builder. And once you create this, at the end of every build, it's going to automatically run. So the quality gate feature is like a build verification assistant, right? You can think of it as what would I look at when I try to evaluate a build once it's finished running? And can I get the new dashboard to do that for me, right? The great part is you can have multiple quality profiles. If you've got a large test suite and different folks are looking for different things, you can create as many quality profiles as you want. They'll all run at the end of a build. You could, in fact, if you're, a manager or a director and you administer multiple projects, multiple teams, you can, in fact, set standards for every single build in your organization. You can have quality profiles apply to every single build. So this is a really, really handy way to approach verifying a build once it finishes running. And, this is an example that I can show you. The build I just ran, I can see that the quality gate check has failed here. And this is the profile that I had set up, or rather it comes with uh, the new dashboard by default, right? So what you can do is see what all rules passed or failed, the ones that you said. Now, in my case, almost all the rules passed, but unfortunately, there was a new unique error that creeped into my build. So, maybe I would have missed that. But now, in a single glance, I can tell if something has creeped into this build that was not there before. This is just one of many examples. What's even more useful is the ability to actually pass this information back to the pipeline, right? Or back to any tool that you want. So what the new dashboard offers is the ability to integrate it via either an API or a webhook. And you can take this data and basically plug and play into any tool that you want. And I can give you an example of how this is look in Jenkins, right? Of basically maybe you have a build where the build passes, but the quality gate check fails, right? You wouldn't want the build to let you through and maybe deploy code without actually having performed that check. I can give you a very simple example of like the dangers of allowing this to happen. Let's say that you have a test suite where some tests can be skipped due to some dynamic condition, right? Maybe like a hook or something failed. What if accidentally, uh, you know, all of the important tests got skipped? So the non-important test cases ran, they passed, but all the important test cases got skipped, and now you've got an unreliable build. So the quality gate rule actually helps you catch things like that. You can ensure that there's a minimum number of tests. You can ensure that all of the tests that you're looking for have passed, right? So you can actually protect yourself with a very powerful setup down to the pipeline level. And this is just a small example of how this works, right? Where you can set up a multi-stage pipeline and integrate the quality gate. And I know this might scare you and look like a lot of code, but we've simplified it for you. We've given you a shell script that'll do all of this for you. All you have to do is sort of just copy paste it into your pipeline. And if you need help, we're there to help you with it. I'm just going to take a look at the questions here. Can we do these settings team by team? Yes, you can. You can do everything team by team. All of these settings are at a project level. So for every different project, that different teams might be using, they can all configure their own settings. But like I said, if you want to, as an administrator, ensure that quality standards are followed across the org, you can do that too. Other quality roles, um, just for taking failing tests and considering them passed, can they go the other way too? Absolutely, yes. If they took longer than some performance threshold, then you can treat it as failed too. We have a smart tag called the performance anomaly smart tag. And this is a customizable definition. You can say that if a test was maybe more than the 90th percentile time that you expect it to be, then mark it as a performance anomaly. And then you can say that the quality gate should fail if a smart tag with performance anomaly smart tag was mapped. What test frameworks does this support, especially for the rerun only some test feature? Joe, this is regardless of the test framework as long as you are integrated with the BrowserStack SDK. So just one of the callouts, right? A lot of the features that you might be seeing in this series of videos that we're doing, uh, while they will work for you, you can get the best value out of it if you use the BrowserStack SDK. Many of you might be, using Selenium, doing a direct sort of integration with just Selenium WebDriver, right? You're treating BrowserStack as a hub and passing the commands. While that data is still going to work with the new dashboard, uh, the BrowserStack SDK, one, it simplifies a lot of things for you in integrating with BrowserStack. But two, what's even more powerful is actually just the ability to get a lot of these features out of the box. Things like the CI detection, the unique errors detection, the Git file detection, the ability to rerun and link with the CI, all of that actually depends on the BrowserStack SDK. So, Joe, the long answer short for your question is it supports every framework if you use our BrowserStack SDK. Okay. The last feature that I'd like to quickly show you is the webhooks feature. And you might have heard me mention this at the end of the quality gate, right? What if I've got my quality gate and I want to integrate in another way? You can do it with webhooks. What the webhook is it's the ability to send data from test observable, like the new dashboard to your existing tool, right? So what you can do is basically everything that is accessible via our APIs currently, you can have, we can now send it to you from BrowserStack to whatever tool. Now, it might be just something like you want to send a message, Teams. You might want to use it for ops monitoring. You might want to use it for anything. Uh, the world's your oyster. Now you can take the data as soon as a build finishes, or a quality gate result runs, or a test fails, or an alert gets triggered. You can now pass it on to any tool. And this is extremely precise. So let's say that I want to be alerted, notified when a very specific test fails, right? Or maybe tests from a particular folder or a browser or OS. I have complete control over what I get notified for. And then now this is not just a webhook, it is a full-fledged API builder. You can send data, you can choose the method, you can choose the URL, you can choose the payload body, authorization header params, whatever you want, right? What's really, really powerful is the data in this payload body, which you'll send to your tools, is dynamic. Every entity in the new dashboard that you'll see on the dashboard, we have turned it into a variable. So let's say, for example, if you want to get the total number of flaky tests in a build, then you just have to reference that variable by calling it in this format using a handlebar syntax. And when this gets fired out, it'll automatically replace it with the live data for that build in question. If you do think that this is a bit too much, we do offer a very simple option for you. It's a default payload where we will send the data, just some standardized data depending on the webhook type on your behalf. But yeah, you are free to customize this however you want. What's even more powerful is the ability to automatically re-trigger this. This is not just a webhook trigger, it's a sequencer. So let's say, for example, for a use case like ops monitoring, where you want to get alerted in a tool like maybe Ops Genie or PagerDuty or ServiceNow when test fails. Now, if you're running in CI/CD on a very regular basis, if that starts passing again, you can re-trigger this webhook. What's even more powerful is the ability to customize the payload for this re-triggered webhook. So you can send a different webhook payload for when this gets re-triggered when it starts passing. What's even more powerful on top of that is the ability to reference data from the original webhook's response. So naturally, this is an API call. It's going to return response. You can reference data in that webhook's response by using this syntax. You can use response dot and then provide a JSON path and access this. And we've documented this well for you to check it out. And we've also given you a few templates to actually try this out. We'll continue to add more templates to make your lives easier. But sort of, the world's your oyster in terms of how you want to use this. What I'll do is I'll quickly show you an example that we built for test failure monitoring using Ops Genie. So what we can do is, we're going to send out an alert to Ops Genie when my test fails. And once it starts passing, we'll automatically close that alert. And I'll show you both. And I'll also show you how the response from the original request can be used as well, right? So I will quickly shift to my other window where I've got my Ops Genie open to illustrate this for you. Okay, so we'll share my screen. And as you can see right now, there are no open alerts, right? So what I'll do is I'm just gonna go and edit that test, which we saw earlier again, the number comparison test, which we forced to pass. Now I'll force it to fail again. And I can head back to my Jenkins. And what I'll do is I will fire up that build again. So let's fire up this build and we'll see it starts to fail. And as this job sort of runs, it'll only take a minute. I'll just maybe answer a few questions. Is the dashboard in a use-ready state? Yes, absolutely. Do you need to buy any special package to use the dashboard? No, currently no. Everyone has access to it. But however, some of the features, they are pro features. You may need the pro plan to leverage those pro features. Your SDK is not showing. What can we do? Claudia, if it's not showing, please do again. I will drop my I'll drop my email in the chat. You can feel free to email me and tell me what SDK you're using. And we'll look into it for you. In case we don't support it yet, we definitely probably have it on our roadmap. As we want to ensure that everyone has the best experience with integrating. So thank you. Okay, so we are almost good here. I think we should expect the build to fail any minute. I've got quite a few tests, around 20 tests, so we'll let it finish. Okay, so my build is finished running. Now, once I head back to the dashboard, what you'll notice is that the new build would have showed up. And what I'll do is I'll quickly do a little bit of a throwback to one of the things that we did earlier, which was update the Jira ticket status. Hopefully, when we run this build, we should be able to see that new test with All right, so I can now see that this issue now it's been run the second time, the build. It's updated and it's now referencing the status that we changed earlier. So I hope that that answers your question we got earlier about can we see the Jira status now? So yep, the new status that we updated is now visible here. Okay, so now let me just head back to my ops monitoring tool, Ops Genie, and we'll give it a refresh, and hopefully our alert will show up that we got triggered. Okay, so we see two open alerts. The reason we see two is because we had two failed tests, each on a different device. And as you can see, all of the data is dynamic. This isn't something that we coded in. If you saw the original payload that we configured, it was just placeholders. So what I'm going to do is I'll head back to my script. I'm just going to flip this again, and then we'll force this test to pass, and we'll run it again. So let's go ahead and rerun all the failed tests in this build. So by the way, if there are any other questions, I think we've got a few more minutes. Please feel free to drop them in the chat while this build runs, while the test runs. I'm happy to take more questions. Joe, integrate with Harness CI/CD? Yes, absolutely. I can reach out to you after the webinar and maybe share some timelines with you when we've tentatively planned it. So yeah. Okay, so we'll let these tests run, and that's finished. So we'll give it a few minutes, just to exit gracefully. And then what will happen is if we head back to our Ops Genie, we'll see that this has automatically resolved itself. While we wait for that, I'd just like to quickly set up a poll, um, just to understand if you've already been using the new dashboard, how has your experience been? Your early feedback will really help us sort of understand what we're doing good, what we can do better. So please do sort of fill the poll. Even if you haven't used it yet, please let us know because that's feedback too. We'd love to ensure that more users start using it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are doing this webinar. And in case you've been using it, the things you like, things you don't like, uh, please do sort of drop in an answer uh, so we can actually debug that feedback. All right, let me head over back to Ops Genie now. And let's go back and refresh. And as you can see, I've got no open alerts anymore, right? Basically, these have automatically been closed. And if I go in and just check what happened here, I can see that it was closed. And I can actually see that the test is now passing. Whatever I set up has happened. So this is just one of many use cases that you can achieve with the webhooks feature. You're free to experiment, really. I think the fact that we've built it in such a way that it is powerful to sequence, to make the data dynamic means that we want users to invent creative ways. And if you find something that you want to share, drop us a note, drop me an email, and we'll make it a template so that the world can share it and try it out. So that really concludes the features that I wanted to show. I will be available for a few more minutes just to answer any questions in case you have them. So continue to drop your questions in the chat, uh, in the Q&A box, and I'm happy to answer if you have any. With respect to links to the session recordings, we will email them to you. Unfortunately, we can't share them right now over chat. Okay, I think there aren't any more questions. Uh, I hope that this was a useful session for everyone. Please do reach out to me over email if you have any questions at all. We're happy to help understand how we can make this new dashboard work for you. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for attending. Have a great day.